We'll be bringing about 200 miles of new transit service to our residents and visitors of Broward County. And the community is very excited about this, as are we. It's a large program that is going to span about 15 years from start to finish.
Welcome to Transit Unplugged. I'm Paul Comfort. Good to be with you on another edition of the world's leading transit executive podcast, Transit Unplugged. In depth this week with our special guest, Coree Cuff Lonergan, who is CEO and General Manager of Broward County Transit in Southern Florida. Coree, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Paul. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you on. Very excited to talk to you today about your wonderful career experience and what you're doing there in Broward County.
Sure. So I'm really excited to have an opportunity to talk to you about some of the things that are going on here in Broward County, because Broward County is one of those sleeping giants in the transit industry. We're a bus company, and we have roughly 44 routes, about 444 buses, fixed route service. We also have paratransit, we have community shuttle, and we also have a microtransit, very small microtransit program. We've been in existence since about the mid-50s. There haven't been that many general managers here. I believe probably less than 5 or maybe 6. So I'm excited to be part of such a small group of transit professionals that have led this organization.
That's wonderful. And that shows stability. A lot of transit agencies around the country aren't able to have that kind of stability at the top job. And so they seem to be going, you and I were talking in the green room about my experience at MTA in Baltimore. Well, I was the 10th CEO in the last 20 years when I was there. So they were averaging a new CEO every 2 years. And it's kind of, and that's how long I lasted, it was 2 years. So it's kind of hard to get stability if you're just changing leadership every couple of years. People have different visions and plans and things like that. So that's a wonderful background to come from. Why don't we talk about where Broward County is for those around the world who listen? As you know, we're in 100 countries. So Broward County is down in the south part of Florida, kind of near Miami, right? That
is correct. And so Broward County is a county, a very large county in the state of Florida. We are north of Miami-Dade County, and a lot of people know Miami as a destination spot. But we also have Fort Lauderdale here in Broward County, so that's one of the major cities that people will recognize. We are a county that is flanked on one side by beautiful beaches and the Atlantic Ocean. And on the western side, we have the Everglades. It's a very, very beautiful place to be. Palm trees, sunshine, great weather all the time, wonderful people. We've got a population of about 2.1 million people here. And we are a destination location for many visitors that choose to come to Florida. We have a very large cruise business that leaves our seaport on a daily basis. So that's one of the economic generators for the county. And we have a lively airport as well. So we do have a very strong tourism business here. And in fact, one of the best kept secrets here is that we have the second largest destination location in the state of Florida, Sawgrass Mills Mall. Sorry.
Wow, that's something. Yeah, Fort Lauderdale is an amazing place. I spent a lot of time there, flown in there, took a cruise out of there. And actually, a good friend of mine, Susie Akel Ford, who was the economic development director for Queen Anne's County when I was county administrator here, retired there. And I've been to visit her and her husband. My wife and I have been to visit her and her husband a couple times there. And she's always told me, Paul, you ought to come down and talk to them about their transportation program. And now I am. So good to meet you officially. And you've had this job now. You've been in the position for a few months. What was it like coming into a brand new job as the CEO of this big and kind of storied historical transit district?
So, I've been in my role, I'm counting by the days, so about 140 days. Okay. And this is my first CEO opportunity. So I'm coming from a vice president level from WMATA or Metro in Washington, D.C. And it's been a very great experience. I'm excited to have an opportunity to work with so many dedicated transportation professionals. We have a workforce of about 1,300 people. And as you can imagine, we have all of the bells and whistles that any transit agency has. We have a very dedicated customer base as well. And we are part of county government. So unlike a lot of the other transit authorities around the country, we're actually part of a larger organization through our county government, Broward County. And we have a commission as our board of directors that is responsible for all county services. What's great about it, and one of the things, quite frankly, that attracted me to the job, Paul, was the opportunity to learn about government. So we have so many additional services that in my career, growing up vertically in the transit industry and rail and power, I didn't have the opportunity to interact with, like the Health and Human Services Department or the Parks Department or the airport or the seaport or the convention center and the Department of Culture. And so there's so many departments that we have here. And it's a great opportunity, at least for me, from a learning experience to get to know those departments and further my professional development and knowledge base.
Yeah, that's great. And a number of places are like that. Miami-Dade, he's part of the county government there. So that is an interesting structure. I mean, King County Metro is the same way out in Seattle. There's a lot of big systems that are part of the county government. And you're right. It is so exciting to have all those access to all those resources and be part of a bigger team. It does have its challenges. You don't have necessarily your own finance department sometimes and things like that. And procurement sometimes has to go through the county government. How are you finding that working with a larger agency, a larger government such as that?
So what I'm finding is that it's very much like working as a department in an agency. So for me, coming in from this perspective, having just come from a VP level into my role, I'm used to working across the organization with various departments. And I kind of see it very similarly, although my peers are running huge agencies and not departments. But you know what? At the end of the day, the way our county structure is set up is that we are quasi-independent agencies. So we do have our own finance department, procurement department.
Oh, that's good.
HR department. And however, they do roll up to a central organization, a service organization that supports us. So not only do we have staff embedded on the team, we also have the resources within the county to lean on when we need them as well.
That's wonderful. What a great perspective. And how about financing? How is your agency financed?
So we just like everybody else, right? So we rely very heavily on our partners at the FTA for federal assistance and grants. And we also have our fare box. Fare box is about 12% of our revenue. But the one thing that we have here in Broward County about 3 years ago, or no, roughly 5 years ago, in 2018, we passed a surtax. It's a penny surtax. And that surtax is dedicated to transportation. And so we have those resources available to us for both capital and operating expenses. And one of the things that I really wanted to talk to you about today is our Primo program.
All right.
And this is largely an outgrowth of that penny sales tax investment that the voters voted on here to pass. And we are, like I said, in year 5 of that. So the Primo plan, Paul, is a new and transformational transportation project that we're bringing to Broward County. And I shouldn't say project because it's more like a program. And so right now, as I mentioned to you, we've got the fixed routes, the community shuttle, a little bit of microtransit and paratransit. But what we're going to have very shortly is commuter rail. We're also going to have, we're going to have commuter rail. So we do have Tri-Rail, which I think you're familiar with.
Dave Deck.
Here. Dave Deck, yes, good friend. He's on the kind of western side of the county, and we're going to be on the eastern side with this new commuter rail service. So that's pretty exciting. We're also going to be offering for the first time light rail transit here in Broward County. And then we're also going to have our bus rapid transit lanes and service. And we're going to have high frequency bus service, which is basically bus service on steroids, right? So we're going to be running at 15-minute frequency along our fixed route, which we're going to be expanding some of our fixed route services. So at the end of all of this, we'll be bringing about 200 miles of new transit service to our residents and visitors of Broward County. And the community is very excited about this, as are we. It's a large program that is going to span about 15 years from start to finish. We're really particularly excited, Paul, and I, as a transit professional, having been in the industry for a very long time and worked at legacy properties. You know, a lot of times when you make some of these capital investments, the O&M or the operation and maintenance dollars don't trail, right? You know, everybody forgets about the other side of the equation. But I think that, the voters here were well educated and made a very decisive decision to include that O&M support for these kinds of investments. So, we're fully funded from that perspective. But, at the end of the day, we're still going to rely very heavily on our partners at the FTA for grant support in terms of some of the capital needs that we have here. And we have a great working relationship with the Florida Department of Transportation. That's our state partner. In fact, yesterday I met with the Secretary of Transportation for the first time, Secretary Perdue. He was here in town visiting with us. And he gave us an award for our support during Hurricane Ian. We provided bus service for the FDOT employees that needed to get to the Fort Myers area to respond to the hurricane. All of this stuff works together to make us a strong transit property. And looking to the future, obviously FDOT is going to be a very big partner of ours as well. So I am excited. My team's excited. We can't wait to get this going. We've done a lot of outreach with the public to make people aware and get their input into the process. We've met with a number of cities and municipalities here in Broward County to, discuss our plans. We've reached out and talked to the NPO. So this is a comprehensive program. But, at the end of the day, as you know, these types of programs only get better if it evolves over time, right? So what we have today is the beginning. There is so much growth in Broward County. There's so much interest in folks moving to Florida and to the Broward County area that we know that, this project and program is going to have to evolve over time in response to what we believe to be some of the growth opportunities that are forthcoming that aren't necessarily planned right now, but the potential is there for that growth. So we'll adjust the plan accordingly to meet the demands of our riding public.
That's some amazing plans, Corey. So light rail, BRT, and commuter rail all coming to your county.
All coming. And the trifecta, let me just tell you about this, because this is one of the things I'm personally excited about, is the fact that we're going to have an electrified bus fleet. The goal is to have that done by 2035. And so right now we're on track to get there. We have 13 electric buses on system now. 12 of them are in operation. The 13th one we just recently received, and we're going through that commissioning process. So that should be out and about soon. But we are heavily invested in sustainability as a county. And strategically, this is one of the pillars that the county truly believes in. And so they are very supportive of our desire to electrify our bus fleet. In addition, I also have the fleet organization here under my responsibility. Our fleet team has our non-revenue vehicles for the transit. So all of our cars that we get around with, all of the trucks and equipment that we use to do work here in Broward County with our Public Works Department, our Parks Department, et cetera, falls under that fleet's responsibility. We're moving forward with an electrification plan for all of our equipment, or rather, I should say, all of our vehicles in the same time frame. So these are very exciting times for us. And I'm really excited to be with an employer that is so committed to the environment. And I'm so glad to have an opportunity to support that.
What an amazing plan of improvement you've got laid out. I don't know really anywhere else in the country other than maybe Austin, Texas, that has that much on their plate, that they're basically just going to put in place a brand new, three, like you said, the trifecta of all that together. Amazing, Corey. I bet that's why you got a big smile on your face, right? You can't wait to get into it.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I bet you are. Yeah.
I was into it on day one, probably into it before I even got here.
I can imagine. Wow. That is something else. So what's the game plan like to make all this happen? Light rail, BRT, commuter rail. Are you doing all at the same time? Are you going to do one first? That kind of stuff. What's your game plan?
Yeah, so that was a great question. And we have a schedule that is very deliberate in terms of rolling this out over time. So like I said, it's going to be over a 15-year period, and it is sequential. The first thing that we're going to be rolling out is our high frequency bus service, which, as I mentioned, is that 15-minute interval bus service. And that'll be first. So we'll be rolling out 2 high frequency bus services on Sample Road and on Hollywood Boulevard. And so those 2 areas will get the first of the investment here. Then we'll be rolling out our commuter rail line. The first part of it is called Broward Commuter Rail South. It's going to be 3 stations, one in a town called Hollywood, and then another one in Fort Lauderdale, which is near our Broward Health facility, and then one at the airport. And then following that, we will roll out our light rail, our first segment of our light rail proposal, which will connect our airport, seaport, and convention center. So it's the economic engines of our community. And so we'll be connecting all 3 of those with the light rail service. And then we will roll out our first BRT service on Oakland Park Boulevard. And those will happen in 2028. So 2026 is the high frequency bus service, 2027 is commuter rail, and 2028 is our BRT service. So those years will certainly be very busy over that time and getting ready and prepared for that. Those are the anticipated opening dates for the first things that we're going to be providing.
That's beautiful. One of the other things that's great about South Florida is your integration with even private rail operators. Brightline Trains has made a lot of news around the country in that they are a privately operated intercity rail system, which is different than a commuter rail or a light rail. It's something we've really needed in this country, I think, for a long time. Other than Amtrak, there's not a lot of places that are doing that for passengers with private companies. And so tell us how you integrate with them and how you work with this private operator, which just opened up service all the way up to Orlando.
Yeah, so I have to tell you, I'm very proud of Brightline. As a transportation professional, I know how hard it is to advance some of these investments in new markets. And for a private company to decide to make that type of commitment, it's commendable. And I'm grateful to them for having, train as an option to getting around South Florida. And I think a lot of people appreciate that too. I believe their ridership is pretty strong. We have been coordinating with them because the commuter rail line that I just mentioned is actually on the same line that they run their service on. So we will be working with them to bring that commuter rail service to fruition. Interestingly enough, the line that both of us will be operating on is owned by the Florida East Coast Railroad. And so that will be an entity that we've actually been meeting with and having conversations about what's to come. But we are in very early discussions about what the service will look like and how we integrate. So stay tuned for more on that, Paul.
Well, we've taken a look at kind of what you're doing now, what your plans are for the future. So we've done past, present, and future. Now let's go to the past. You've got a great background, Corey, for what you're doing. I mean, I don't want to steal your thunder, but your resume, it's just phenomenal. 5 years at WMATA as Vice President of Project Development and Implementation. You were the Chief Engineer of Capital Projects for CSX, the rail company. What an amazing background. Tell us a little bit about all that and how that prepared. And you've got a degree in civil engineering. Tell us about your background and how it prepared you for what you're doing today.
So, Paul, one of the things I'm very proud of is the fact that I started my career in public transportation as an intern. I had an opportunity that between my junior and senior year of college to work for SEPTA in Philadelphia. And after right before I was ready to graduate, the original plan was for me to go to grad school. And the funding didn't work out for me. And I reached out to my supervisor, Harry Lupia, and at SEPTA, and said, Harry, I'm graduating in a month or two. And do you have anything for me? Because I'd like to come back there to work. And he said, sure, Corey, we'd love to have you back. And the rest is history. So I started my career off in Philadelphia at the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. And I got to tell you, that's a great place to learn about public transportation and how integral it is to a community, and how important it is to preserve your assets, throughout the life cycle of an asset, because as you know, coming from a legacy system, some of the what comes with that, right? And so I had a great time at SEPTA. Had a lot of wonderful mentors, people that I worked with in the industry, and I was able to move on to consulting. And I went on to work for Flora Daniel in Southern California, and I worked on the Metrolink, early days of the Metrolink program, as in support of the OCTA, the Orange County Transportation Authority. They were our client, and we were there with them, helping them get that train service up and running. And then, moving on back to SEPTA for a little bit, and then going on to work in the power industry. And that was a game changer for me. I've got to tell you, Paul, it's nice to have an opportunity to work in the private and the public sector.
Yes.
And, going into the engineering consulting, working for a Fortune 500 company, and then going to work for a power company, which is also a Fortune 500 company, and then eventually going on to work for CSX as another Fortune 500 company, has enabled me to kind of fully understand some of the options that are available to us that, traditionally you may not see in the, if you grow up completely in the transportation arena. And as you've bounced around between government and transit and other things. And so, the value of that and the perspective that you bring when you have those types of experiences. So I'm really glad to have had an opportunity to work for WMATA or Metro in Washington, D.C. And that really helped to give me a strong foundation to take on the role here.
Well, I can't wait to see what you're going to do there. And I'm excited. And hopefully I can announce now that Corey is going to be a guest on a live CEO roundtable this year at APTA Expo that I'm putting on with brand new CEOs with under a year or so on the job. We did something similar to this at the Think Transit conference with 8 CEOs in April. And I hope to have a reprise of that with some new guests as well this year. So you get to meet her in person and hear her story a little bit more in a live setting there at APTA Expo on the trade show floor at the Trapeze Vauntus Modaxo booth. So looking forward to that. Corey, let's stay in touch as we will. And we wish you the very best in this amazing projects you have lined up.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for the opportunity to share some of the things that are happening here in Broward County. It was such a pleasure to meet you and have an opportunity to have a conversation with you. And I look forward to many more.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see you at APTA.
All right.
Hi, I'm Elea, Carey, a communications consultant who loves working with public transit agencies. Coree Cuff Lonergan is talking very high level about complex long-term projects, as transit executives often do on the world's leading transit executive podcast. But I'd like to switch it up for a few episodes and talk about the basic and basically free promotions almost any American transit agency has at hand: a website, a newsletter, and a blog. So let's start with your website. The 299 million internet users in the United States represent 92% of the population. So chances are your customers look for information about your services online. When users arrive at your website, make sure it is cleanly and simply designed. The main pieces of information transit customers are looking for when they use your website are where your service goes and when it's offered. That means you need your maps and your schedules, or nice, clear links to them, easily visible at the top of your homepage. Also helpful, a trip planner. You might have your own, or you can give users a link to Google Maps if you have a GTFS manager set up. You can also provide links to download the PDF versions of your user guide and schedule for people who want to have readier access to these important pieces of passenger information. The other locations on your website your customers are most likely to visit should be visible below the fold. Those sections will include mandatory information like non-discrimination policies and will also address your holiday and inclement weather policies, as well as About You and Careers pages. If you'd like to talk more about website best practices or anything else related to communications and public transit, look me up on LinkedIn. My first name is spelled E-L-E-A, last name C-A-R-E-Y.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Transit Unplugged with our special guest, Coree Cuff Lonergan, CEO of Broward County Transit. Now, coming up next week, we have the first of two very special interviews that Paul recorded on his recent trip to Brazil. Our first one is a repeat guest, Dimas Barreira, who is the president of Sindionibus in Fortaleza, Brazil. This is a really interesting interview with Paul and Dimas. Dimas dives into how Brazil is different in how it organizes its public transportation infrastructure and its approach to reducing emissions and sustainability in transit. Please take a moment to rate and review Transit Unplugged on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the show. These ratings and reviews really help us spread the word about transit around the world. If you have a question or a comment and you'd like to reach us, email us at info@transitunplugged.com. Transit Unplugged is brought to you by Modaxo. At Modaxo, we're passionate about moving the world's people, and at Transit Unplugged, we're passionate about telling those stories. So until next week, ride safe and ride happy.